happened this morning to me that I just want to share. I don't know why, I just feel like it. But first, you have this Happy Day song, and you came dangerously close to having a dance party out here. I can see my daughter over there now. And that made me want to go, so be careful. And then we just had this, I felt like I should be marching over here too, just now. So it's very, very rhythmic this morning. So my name's Tim, for those of you who haven't met me yet. I'm new here, but you guys made it feel like home already, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much for welcoming myself and my family. It's really been a blessing to be here. So this week marks a very special week for me. And you guys know July 4th is coming up. And that's really one of the most precious days of my life, because that marks the 12-year anniversary of myself and my wife. So we're celebrating for a number of reasons. And when I told my friends we were going to get married on July 4th, there were a lot of jokes about getting married when you're supposed to be celebrating freedom. But my wife has been a blessing. She's done nothing but lead me closer and closer to God, and she's been really foundational in my faith. And it's a blessing to be married to her. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. Sorry, I didn't expect to get emotional. I won't cry every Sunday, I promise. It's the first week here. We're also celebrating, obviously, July 4th, the anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And that's a special day. I've served in the military and still am, and there's nothing, really, to me, there's nothing better than being an American, besides maybe being a Christian. And but it's an awesome thing. And I want to say thank you for the children's moment, because I was going to go I was going to talk about our country and the founding fathers and their faith and how this country was formed in today's service. But God kind of just, as I was praying about it and as I was thinking about what to say and, trying to listen and be prayerful about the message, God led me a different direction. So I want to talk about freedom still, but I want to talk about a different kind of freedom. I want to talk about freedom in Christ. And if you're able, please stand with me, and we're going to go ahead and read Romans chapter 7, verses 1 through 4. It should be on I'm reading from the New Living Translation, which is possibly different than yours, so if you have a lot of ye's and thou's, I probably don't, and, we'll get there. But chapter 7, verses 1 through 4, it's on the board as well. So it says, "Now, dear brothers and sisters," you guys are allowed to read with me if you want to. If you want to be quiet, that's okay, no pressure. "Now, dear brothers and sisters, you who are familiar with the law, don't you know that the law applies only while a person is living? For example, when a woman marries, the law binds her to her husband as long as he is alive. But if he dies, the law of marriage no longer applies to her. So while her husband is alive, she would be committing adultery if she married another man. But if her husband dies, she is free from that law and does not commit adultery when she remarries. So my dear brothers and sisters, this is the point. You died to the power of the law when you died with Christ. And now you are united with the one who was raised from the dead." Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for your words today. We just thank you for loving us and freeing us from the law. Thank you for sending your Son to die on the cross in our place for our sins. Now, God, have your way in this church and allow all to feel your presence as we strive to grow closer to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You may be seated. Thank you. So, there seems to be a very clear point that Paul's trying to make when he writes this. And I found that in the Bible when I'm trying to study and read and figure out what it means. When Paul says, this is the point, after making a statement, usually that's the point. So I want to focus on that a little bit here, because he says this is the point. You died to the power of the law when you died with Christ. So what does that exactly mean? Because, I'm not dead physically, but he says this. It means that you're no longer required to follow the Old Testament law to secure your place with God in heaven. Right? The sacrifice of Jesus Christ that you've accepted, and if you haven't, we can talk. My office is right here. But the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, when you accept that sacrifice on behalf of your sins, it frees you from the law. You no longer have to do stuff to earn your way to heaven. It changes from doing stuff to earn your way to heaven to doing stuff out of an overflow of your heart because you love God and you know He's calling us to do stuff. So you just do it naturally because it's what God calls us to do. So it's a change. This means that once you truly accept Jesus, you can be sure of where you're going when you die. I don't know if that's comforting to you, but to me that's pretty amazing. The freedom Christ offers is eternal, secure, and forever. Think about it. You're guaranteed eternal life from the Creator of the universe. But this is a big deal. This is really something that should make every other hardship in your life seem somewhat insignificant. Not that it's not there, and I'm not trying to invalidate the hardships that you guys go through. Sorry, I move. But maybe you're somebody who had a bad childhood. You know who you are. If you grew up and you struggled and things were never great, people didn't love you right, whatever the case might be. Well, I'm sorry for you. I really am. That should not be something children have to deal with. But you have something to look forward to once you put your life, once you accepted the sacrifice that Jesus did, that made for you. That thing to look forward to is eternal life with God. You have that. So no matter how bad things were, you have an amazing future to look forward to. Maybe you're somebody who's failing in health. Maybe you wake up and you're sore every day. As we're getting older, we're starting to feel some ailments. We're having to get things done. Maybe you've had an injury. You young people, I know, but you'll get there. But maybe there's something where you're suffering, and it's hard, and it truly is hard. But the cool thing is that you can know, you have the assurance of where you're going. You're going to heaven if you accepted Jesus Christ on behalf of your sins, to die on behalf of your sins. And so all that suffering, all that pain, medication, that stuff does not exist in heaven. So you're going somewhere where you get to be eternally happy, you get to be eternally filled with joy, you get to be eternally pain-free. I mean, I'm not saying that this isn't hard right now, but you have something to look forward to, people. You have something great to look forward to. You have heaven. You have hope. You really, no matter what's going on in life, there's nothing as important as where we're going, because that's eternity, and it's amazing. So we should be focused as best we can on our futures, because our futures are filled with hope when we accept Jesus Christ. And sometimes we lose that though, right? We lose momentum. We get excited. I don't know how you guys have been in church for a while, a lot of you. So if you guys got to that point where you're like, you hit that moment when you know God is real. There's just this moment. It's different for everybody, but there's a moment where you're like, God just answered a prayer that I didn't think there was a way to be answered. Or there's something. This thing that just happened is a miracle. One of the things for us is my son has a brain tumor. One of my sons has a brain tumor. And we thought he was going to die. And the doctors thought he was going to die. And everything looked bad until a miracle happened, and it turned out to be some benign thing that the head of the Neurological Institute in one of the biggest children's hospitals in the country had never seen before. It ended up being a benign tumor. And he had the surgery, and he's good to go, and he's been good for a couple of years now. It's a miracle. It really is a miracle. And But everybody has that moment when you realize God is real. And in that moment, you're on fire, right? You can't help. You can't help but tell people about God. You can't help but go, hey, did you hear what God did? Like, this is crazy. Like, you can't even imagine what God did in my life. Like, you need to know this God. You're on fire, right? You're just like, you want everyone to know what you know. And then what happens after time passes, and it becomes it becomes a little more distant, right? That feeling, and a little more distant. And you're nice, and God's real, and you kind of remember that it happened and it's cool, but you become less on fire, right? And what I'm here today to tell you is we need to get back on fire. If you've lost that flame, we need to relight it, because God is real and He's doing miracles every day. We just need to look around and stop calling them coincidences and start calling them miracles, because that's the truth. But Satan doesn't want us to stay focused on those miracles in our lives, right? Because if there's anything he doesn't want, it's you on fire for God going out and telling people about Him. So, how many of you have had this happen to you? You have, like, your life is going great, like better than it's ever gone before. Like, you might have just got a raise, or like the crops are coming in good. Is that a relevant reference? The rain is perfect. It's the snow went that way and your crops are safe. Or hail. The hail went that way and your crops are safe. So I'm learning, okay? So there, but you've had just a great day. Everything seems wonderful. Life is good. Like, God's in control and it feels great. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're just smacked with hardship after hardship after hardship after hardship. And it feels like there's just no give. Why do you think that is? You think that's good because God wants you to have hardship after hardship after hardship? Maybe sometimes He's allowing you to learn something. That definitely happens. But it also could be that, Satan knows that things are going good and you're about to relight that fire for God. And he doesn't want that. So it becomes hard. Even check this out, the Israelites. I'm gonna hit. Let me see if I can find it. Exodus, I think it's chapter 16. Sorry. And I'm trying to stick with the 20-minute preacher rule so that we don't. 16. Exodus 16, verse 3. Oh, I even marked it. That's smart. I should have remembered that. So, 16 verse 3. What does it say? Just 20 seconds. Chapter 16 verse 3. So, verse 2, I guess I can start. There too, the whole community of Israel complained about Moses and Aaron. So they're in the desert, wandering and doing their desert stuff, right? They're kind of hungry because they haven't had food and water, like clean water and whatever. And they're like, if only the Lord had killed us back in Egypt, they moaned. There we sat around with pots filled with meat and ate all the bread we wanted. But now you have brought us into this wilderness to starve us all to death. So, come on, man. This is after you saw all of the plagues in Egypt. You saw the original Passover where all these kids died, but not yours because you followed God's law, right, or God's rules. You saw the water split in front of your face, and you walked through it. They saw all that stuff, and then they said, man, you should have just left us in Egypt because we don't think God's going to provide. If it's hard for them to stay on fire for God after all that, do you think it's easy for us? I'm blessed to be an American and to live here, but sometimes it's a little too easy. Sometimes it's easy to forget where those blessings come from because, we lose our dependence on God because we have everything in front of our faces. I understand that this is a small town, but we still have a lot of conveniences here that definitely the Israelites didn't have. They had to pick up this manna stuff. Hope that Moses would throw a stick in the pond and make it taste like good water. So, But if it's hard for them, it's hard for us. And so this is just kind of a reminder to find what it is that brought you to God in the first place and relight that fire, because that fire needs to be lit in this city. Maybe you're somebody who has accepted God in the past, but your fire's kind of gone out. You've forgotten about the freedom that He allows you to have, the freedom from sin, the freedom from, or the fact that you have freedom coming if you're going through trials right now, that you have everlasting bliss, essentially worshiping and being with God the Father in heaven because of the price that Jesus Christ paid for us. Maybe you're one of those people. If you're one of those people, come back and relight that fire. If you're somebody who you're kind of just exploring and you think, I'm not really sure about this whole faith thing, this religion thing, that's okay. If you want to talk more about it, I'm here. Everybody knows where my house is, right? So, I'm here. It's okay if you're exploring, if you're not sure, but I would ask you to just consider the things that go on in your life, the things that you consider coincidences, the way that your life has kind of been mapped out, and the way things kind of just seem to work out in the end, even though they feel at the time like they're really, really hard. And just ask yourself, is there any chance that there's not a higher power? Is there any chance that there's not somebody orchestrating that in my life? And if if that's something that you can honestly answer, without believing in God, then we need to talk more because I'm confused. But the truth is, God is calling us back to Him. And I'm not saying that anybody in here is necessarily distant, but God's calling us closer and closer and closer. And He'll never stop calling us closer until we're with Him. The day we're with God is the day that we're close enough. Until then, let's continue to do what we can to draw closer, to remember the freedom He gave us from our sins, to remember the sacrifice He made, and just to know how big He is and how amazing He is. If anybody would like to talk after service or whatever, I'll be around. We have the meeting first, so you have to wait through that. And it's going to be short, Nate promised. And then we have some food afterwards. So that's going to be amazing. So let's go ahead and pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord God, we come to you today in meekness and with humility, God, knowing that you're such an amazing, huge God, that we're not worthy of being with you or even having a relationship with you, but you don't care because you love us so much that you sent your Son for us to die on our behalf. We just thank you, God, for loving us that much. I just pray that as we move throughout the week and coming months, that we would keep you as the focus, as the center of our lives, that we would continue to grow closer to you, God. Just thank you and praise you for your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.